What's up, everybody? I'm trying to figure out something to do with this motorcycle while we were stuck in isolation here in New Jersey. We're in my very messy garage during the coronavirus shut-in. In New Jersey, we've been home for about almost 4 weeks now, and I'm here with my Scrambler 1200, trying to do a couple modifications. The biggest faux pas with this bike, I thought right off the showroom floor, was the mirrors. My garage wasn't very well lit, and so I'm going to try to stand out here in the sunshine, pull it out. Today I want to cover one of the biggest issues I've had with this bike off the showroom floor, and that is mirrors. Mirrors that came on this bike, they fit here. They were an old school mirror fitting, and the mirror goes here, a bolt goes up through the bottom and fits into the mirror. But they were cast aluminum and they stuck out sort of Mickey Mouse looking. 3 problems. One, they didn't really look great. The second is they didn't have great functionality off-road. So if you were standing on the pegs and trying to look behind you, those mirrors would not actually, they would not lean in a way that you could see behind you. Third thing is this fitting here is actually connected to the handguard. So if you were to snap off this handguard, which I've actually done before, and these handguards are cast. If this handguard is gone, then your mirror fitting is gone. So you would have to take off the mirror and then stow it somewhere on the bike. This is a pretty poor design, I think, from Triumph. All of this is cast here, so if any of this part breaks, it's done for. If you're interested in seeing that crash, it happened in the Scrambler 1200 XE Lost Trails video, probably the first or second video that I posted. So these handguards, honestly, from Triumph, I bought another handguard just to save face and keep the look. They're not great either. I went with Tech's bar end mirrors. You can see that I've dropped this bike a couple of times and these mirrors have lasted. They're pretty strong, machined aluminum, so a little bit stronger than cast aluminum. I've dropped it on this side. I've dropped it on this side. Both of these mirrors off-road seem to stand up pretty well. The biggest issue is that when you are off-road and you fall over and you push this mirror back up, the bolt on the end tends to loosen, and once it does, this mirror just flips and flops. You have to pull over, take out your toolkit, run this wrench till it tightens. I try to figure out ways that I could get a ram mount so I could get some double take mirrors on this thing. There's not a conversion kit that fits into this fitting right here. I've scoured the internet and couldn't find one. If you know of a conversion kit that fits here, please post that link into the comments. But what I did find is a company in Germany called Raisch Motorworks. It's a German company. They make some parts for Triumph, and they make a Scrambler XC conversion. So this is just a standard threaded ram ball will fit down into this, and you could throw your double take mirrors on top. And this is another little bit of a design flaw from the Scrambler. It looks great, looks awesome on paper. You see guys riding it in the desert on film, and you're like, damn, I really want one of those. This is a single plate that connects the handguard and the front brake to this handlebar. Those are 2 separate pieces back here, but the front plate is exactly the same. Raisch sells this as a singular model. If I didn't have this handguard on this bike, I would be able to just pop the plate off and then screw this in to the clutch lever assembly, and this would be perfectly fine. But I had to figure out a way to split these 2 cast parts. I was a little scared to do it. I figured I would just take out my hacksaw and see what I could come up with. This is the finished product. I'm going to show you how I did this in my shop. The only parts you're going to need for this modification are Beagle adapter, I don't speak German, Thruxton Speed Twin, and Scrambler 1200, if you can see right there. It's translated to about 80 bucks shipped to American dollars. So 25 euros for both of the fittings, and then the shipping was a bitch. But you need this fitting, which comes in the package. There's the adapter. That's what you get right there. You also get 2 bolts. I've been using the Triumph bolts. They're black, and I like the black look. The thing you're going to need for this modification is you're going to need a 4mm and a 5mm hex head, some duct tape, which I'll show you why I use that in a second, and then you're going to need just your regular old run-of-the-mill hacksaw. Before, this is pretty straightforward. Anyone who does just the most minimal amount of wrenching on their motorcycle will be able to figure this out pretty quickly. But here is my fitting, and I just need to run off these bolts here. Second half that holds on the handguard is actually a 4mm. I don't know why Triumph chose to do smaller bolts here, but they did. Make sure you're keeping up with those bolts, and then just pull this plate off. Your handguard will hang free, and you're gonna have to figure out, you're gonna let your brake assembly just hang a little bit as well. So this gives you a better look at what I was talking about earlier. This is just one plate of cast aluminum that holds on both that handguard and your brake lever. On the left side, of course, it would be handguard on the inside, clutch lever on the outside. Completely impossible to add that mirror fitting on this side. So what you have to do is cut it down the middle. Duct tape. This was from my last cut. You can see my aluminum there. Take your plate here, lay it flat. This is where your duct tape comes in handy. If you have an effective clamp, now would be a good time to use it. I resorted to duct taping. You want to make sure that you get with this duct tape around the edges of this plate so that it gets nice and sort of welded down onto your workbench. So here, this thing is not going anywhere. There's a little bit of play, but honestly I didn't mind it. You're going to take your hacksaw and you're actually going to hit it right down the center of this plate. There's a little ridge right here that kind of separates the two, and you're going to run that hacksaw right down that ridge right there. All right, you're going to come to a point where you're going to actually start cutting your table, or your hacksaw, for, you know, the way that it's built is not going to let you cut all the way through most of this thing. All right, and let's see if we can get it. Yeah, I only have just a little bit left on both ends, and this end is almost all the way through. So now you just got to do it by hand. You know, it's actually kind of almost like Triumph wanted you to do that. Why else would they have given you that ridge on this plate? So actually, it ended up being pretty clean, but you can see that there is a sharp edge there on that end. Shiny. All right, so once you get out here and you got your mirror converter, this is the one that you definitely want to do first. There are some guiding marks, little T's right here, so you're going to want to make sure that your connection is right here. Okay, one thing to note, this doesn't bother me too much, but it is worth noting. It's not a perfect match. There is a little bit of a gap between your clutch and your mount right here. These shouldn't be much of an issue really, but see if there are any fixes for that. The next thing is you just need to make sure that your handguard fitting goes, you know, it fits right there, right next to it, and that's all there is to it. All right, so there's your finished product, and as you can see, it fits right up next to the other one. There's a little tiny gap, thinner than a dime. Make sure your hand controls are in the right place. Right here I can see that my brake lever is a little lower than my hand guards. It's how you get adventure mirrors on the Scrambler 1200 XE. This is a pretty cheap fix for me. Now I can throw some double takes in there. I'm excited about that.